Hi everyone, I am Sai Krishna, an experienced developer from India. I am the instructor for this tutorial. In this tutorial, you will learn the fundamentals of JavaScript. This is the foundation course and requires no prior programming experience. After this course, you will learn about JavaScript built-in data types, built-in methods. You will also learn how to create variables and how to do basic arithmetic operations. You will learn how to use conditional blocks to control the flow of the program, and you will see how to use different kinds of loops for executing blocks of code multiple times. You will see how to store data in arrays, and we will also discuss about JavaScript objects. Let's see what is JavaScript. JavaScript is a programming language that powers the dynamic behavior on most websites. JavaScript is simple yet powerful interpreted language. JavaScript is known as language of web and many browsers use it. You can do magic with JavaScript using DOM manipulation feature. JavaScript is used in building websites, backend servers, cross-platform apps using React Native, and desktop apps using Electron. Some of the most popular frameworks and libraries are made using JavaScript. Recently, JavaScript is also getting popular in the field of data science. According to Stack Overflow Survey 2021, JavaScript is the most popular language. In most of the modern web browsers, you have something called as console. You can open it using Control plus Shift plus I, or you can right click and you can click on inspect, and there you'll find console option. I'll zoom it a little bit, and this is the console section. So you can execute JavaScript code here. So let's see what is console. Console is a panel used to display important messages like errors. It is used in debugging minor issues in your code. You can write JavaScript code inside the console tab in many browsers. If you are using a code editor, you can write code inside JavaScript files, and you can see log statements inside the console tab. Let's see how to write log statements. In console, you have a keyword called console. And console is an object. This is a JavaScript object. So a JavaScript object contains data and some functions associated to it. For example, if you enter console, then you will see the functions. So assert, clear, context, everything. These all are functions, whatever closed with brackets, and also there is an F symbol here. So that means it's a function. Memory is a variable, whereas log is a action. So these are the two different things which will present inside a JavaScript object. So one such action is called log. Log action is used to print something in console tab. For suppose, if you call console.log, and if you pass some information like hello world, enter, then you can see hello world is getting printed here. So this is the main purpose of log console.log function. Now let's discuss about data types. In JavaScript, data is fundamentally classified into different types. They are number, string, boolean, null, undefined, and object. So let's talk about number. Number is a data type which includes both numbers and integers. So for example, 4 is a number and 4.5 is also a number. So these two decimals and integers comes under number data type. And we have string data type. So string is a collection of characters, and generally these characters are enclosed inside quotes. It may be single quote or double quote. Suppose if I give like name, then it is a string. So this is a string. So we have another data type called Boolean data type. Boolean data type has two possible values. One is true or false. False. These are the two possible values for Boolean. And we have null data type. Null represents intentional absence of value. So if you want to create a variable but you don't want to give some value, then you can assign it as null. And we have another data type called undefined. So if no value is given or given value does not exist, that means it's undefined. And we have another data type called object, and object is collection of related data. Till now we have seen how to run JavaScript in console, but if you want to save JavaScript code inside files, and if you want to rerun the code, then you can do it using Node.js. So for installing Node.js, go to Node.js website, search for Node.js and go to the first URL and download the LTS version. LTS means long-term support, and click on it. You will download an installer. I already have installer, so I'm not downloading it. Once you download the installer, just go to the folder where you downloaded it and double click and then click on next, accept terms and conditions, then click on next, 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 install. So this will install Node.js in your environment. So I'll check it using command prompt, node version. As you can see, Node.js is installed in my system. Next step is to install Visual Studio Code and Git Bash. Visual Studio Code is a code editor. So let's see how to install it. Let's see how to install Visual Studio Code. For installing Visual Studio Code, just search for Visual Studio Code and then go to the first link. So there, based on the operating system, download the executable file. I am downloading Windows version. So your download will start. Download the file. Once your download is done, open the file. Click on I accept the agreement. And next, next, next. And then check these two options. And then next, install. So your VS Code is installed. You can click on finish. So you can see your VS Code is open. Let's see how to install Git Bash. For installing Git Bash, just search for Git Bash and then go to the first URL. Based on the operating system, download the appropriate one. I'm choosing Windows and I'm going to install the 64-bit one. Download the installer. Once it's downloaded, just open it. Click on yes and next, next, access, yes, and next, 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 next. Leave all the default options like that and install it. Git bash is successfully installed, so let's launch it and check. So we have installed Node.js, Visual Studio Code, and DB browser. Now let's create some files in Visual Studio Code and then let's run them using Node.js. So for that, go to your folder, File Explorer, and create a new folder somewhere. I'm creating JavaScript for beginners folder, and inside that I'll just go and I'll click on show more options and then I'll click on open with code. Once you do that, by the way, you have to install an extension. So install auto runner, code runner extension. Search for it. So install this particular extension. Once you install it, restart your system. And so now you have restarted your system and open your VS Code. So here I'll create a file, console.js. So JavaScript files are defined using .js extension. So I'll create that and I'll call console.log. Hello world. Save it and click on the runner here. And you can see hello world is printed. So this is how you run JavaScript inside your code editor. We have seen how to run JavaScript using code editor, but let's see how to run it using command prompt. So for that, open command prompt, then search for node and enter node, and then do enter. Here you can write Node.js code. For example, if I want to do console log hello world, you can do that. You can see hello world is getting printed. This is how we can run JavaScript using command prompt. Now let's discuss about JavaScript operators. So in JavaScript, there are different types of operators. One is assignment operators, comparison operators, arithmetic operators, bitwise operators, logical operators, string operators, conditional operator, comma operator, and these are some operators which we don't have to discuss in this tutorial. Let's discuss about arithmetic operators first. So if you go to arithmetic operators, you will see the remainder, increment, decrement, but we'll see the basic operators first. So I'm going to interactive shell. So if you want to add two numbers, then you can use plus operator. If you want to subtract two numbers, then you can do minus operator. Similar way, you can do operations with decimals. And if you want to do multiplication, then you can do it using star operator. If you want to do division, then you can do with hash operator. So these are the basic operators. And now let's discuss about some other operators. If you want to do square or cube of something, then you can do it like this is 2 square. And if you want to do this is cube. So this is how you can do like this is called exponential operator. You can do power of a number using this operator. And there are some other operators like remainder. Suppose if you divide with something and if you want to know the remainder, then you can use this operator. And now I'll go to arithmetic operator. Yeah, we discussed about the remainder operator. Now let's discuss about increment. So if you want to increase a value by 1, then you can use increment operator. Okay, left-handed side expression in postfix operation. So we can't do increment operation with normal numbers. If you have a variable, for example, I'm creating a variable. We will discuss this later, but just for demo, I'll create a variable. Let a is equal to 5 and a plus plus. Okay, it's returning 5, but it will be incremented. Now, if I you can see it's 6. So this is how increment operator works. But we will discuss about this later, why this is happening. Similarly, we also have decrement operator. And here we have unary plus, unary negation. We can ignore it. Exponentiation, we covered it. Now let's check comparison operators. Suppose if you want to check whether two numbers are equal or not, then you can do it using comparison operator. You can see 5 is equal to 4, false. You can do comparison equals using two equal signs. And if you want to check whether they are not equal, then you can do it like this. Because 5 is not equal to 4, it's returning true. If 5 is not equal to 5, it will return false because 5 is equal to 5. So this is how equals operator works and not equal operator works. So in JavaScript, compared to other languages, we have something called as strict equal and strict not equal. So it returns true if operands are equal of the same type. So this is how strict equal works, and similar way strict not equal works. And we have greater than operator. If you want to check whether two numbers are greater or lesser, then you can do it like this. Similarly, we have less than operator, and we have greater than equal to. So 5 is greater than or equal to 4. Suppose 5 is less than or equal to 5, then it will return true. Yeah, so these are some comparison operators. Now let's discuss about logical operators. So if you know how logic gate works, then it's very simple. So AND represents logic AND. True and true is true. True and false, false. Similarly, false and true is false, but false and false is also false. Similar way, you have OR operator. Suppose true or false is true. Similarly, true or true is true, but false of false is false. So this is OR operator, and you also have logical NOT. Suppose if you give not true, then it's false. Not false, then it is true. Okay, these are logical operators, and we have string operators. So if you want to add two strings, suppose if I want to add hello plus world, I can add it. So it's returning a string which is added. If I want to add strings of different data types, let's try doing that. Hello plus 3, it's hello 3. Similarly, you can also include decimal values, it will still work. So this is a string operator, and we will discuss about this later. Okay, there is ternary operator, which we won't discuss now. So these are some basic operators. Now let's discuss about variables. Variables are containers to store data. In JavaScript, you can initialize variables using three keywords. One is const, let, and var. We will discuss about these three variables, but let's see this diagram. So if you see, this is a container which is named as number, which is num. This is variable name, and it is storing some value. So this is the purpose of variable. It has a name and it stores some value. So let's give some variable inside JavaScript. So I'll go to shell, I'll go to code editor, and here I'll create a file called variables.js, and we'll discuss about const, and also we'll discuss about let, and we'll discuss about var, these three keywords. So let's see how to create variables. Variables, as we discussed, will have a name and value. If I want to create a variable called num and I want to give some value like 5, then I can do it. But in JavaScript, we have to define data type first. For example, we have to define whether it's a constant or whether it's a variable. Like a constant, which is defined using const keyword, is something which does not change. It's constant. If you try to change it, if I try to assign some other value, then JavaScript will throw error. Let's run it. You can see there is some error. Let's read the error. Assignment to a constant variable. So you can't assign any other value to a constant. Then you have let keyword. So let keyword is introduced in ES6. So it's a modern feature. So if you run now, there is no issue. You can do console.log number, save, run it. You can see the number is getting printed. So this is the purpose of let, and var has a similar purpose to let, but it is used earlier. If you're using a very old browser, then you have to use var keyword. So it's giving the similar result, but it's introduced it's used very earlier. But ES6 encourages us to use let keyword as it's a modern feature. So let's see how to do arithmetic operations on variables. For example, if you want to do some arithmetic operation like adding, you can do it. Run it. You can see the number is getting added. Suppose if you want to create another variable, it's num1, and I want to create another variable called num2, 25, and I want to add these two numbers inside this keyword, num1 plus num2. If I do num, you can see the number is getting added. Similarly, you can subtract two values. The value is subtracted. 5 minus 25, which is minus 20. You can do all the mathematical operations on these variables. So now let's discuss about assignment operator. So this is what we call assignment operator. When you're assigning some value to a variable, you use this operator. And let's discuss some other variants of this assignment operators. Suppose I'll go to Mozilla Docs, and here you can see there is addition assignment, subtraction assignment, multiplication assignment. Let's see how to do that. For example, if you want to change here, I want to do num1 plus equals num2, and if I do print num1, then let's see what happens. So number is getting added. So I'll tell you what's happening. So if I expand it, then this is happening here. Num1 is assigning num1 plus num2. So this is what happening using this operator. So this is the extended form. Similarly, there is minus equals. So when you use this operator, it will be like num1 is equal to num1 minus num2. Let's do it. If you see, it's minus 45. I'll explain you what's happening here. So num1 is taking num1, which is 5 minus 25, and assigning it to the value. Okay, why we are getting minus 45 is that this num1 is getting subtracted 2 times. That's why it's getting like that. But if I comment it and if I run it again, you can see minus 20 is getting printed out. So these are the basics of variables and variable assignments. So the next topic is comment. Let's see what are comments. Comments in any programming language are created to make your code easy to understand for other programmers. There are two types of comments in JavaScript. One is inline comment and another one is multi-line comment. Let's see about inline comment first. So inline comment are created using this double slash. So when you write something after this double slash, it won't be executed. Your interpreter, so interpreter is the code runner, which will go through each and every line and which will run the code. So interpreter, when it goes through this inline comment, it will skip the inline comment. It will go to the next line. So that's what happens in inline comment. That's why when we wrote an inline comment here, it skipped. JavaScript interpreter skipped this line and it went through this line. So there is one more type of comment. If you want to give multiple lines as comment, then you can do this. And you can, if you write something, you can see code is not getting highlighted because it's a comment. So these are inline and multi-line comments. Conditional statements control the flow of execution of the program. Previously, we have discussed about conditional operator. When we use conditional operators, we get two types of output. It can be either true or false. We will use the conditional operator to determine the flow of execution of the conditional block. In JavaScript, we can write conditional statements in many ways, using if condition, else condition, switch case, and ternary operator. So let's discuss everything one by one. So go to VS Code, and here I'm creating a new file for condition.js, and here I'll create if condition. For example, we have a number. I'm defining num as 24, and I'm running a conditional block now. So I'm checking if number is divided by 2 or not. So this is a simple program for checking whether number is even or odd. So I created a variable called number, and I'm checking here whether number is divided by 2 or not. So if reminder comes as 0, that means the number is even. This block, this piece of code will be executed. Otherwise, this piece of code will be executed. Let's run it. So you can see number is even. If I give some odd number, like 23, save, and I'll run it again. Now number is coming odd. So our even odd number program is working. So let's see some other kind of program. So this is the purpose of if else condition. So let's discuss about else if. For example, you want to grade some students. Const grade marks is equal to 79, and you're writing a grading function here. Suppose if marks is greater than 80, that means log A grade. Otherwise, if marks is less than 80 and marks is greater than 45, that means grade is B. Similar way, I'm writing else condition. If marks is less than 45, that means fail. So let's run the program. You can see the number belongs to B grade. If I give marks which were more than 80, so you're getting A grade. If I'm giving a number which is less than 40, so this is how you will use else if condition. Now let's discuss about switch case. Switch case. So if you have some variable and you want to compare it with many values, then you can use switch case statement. For example, if I have some string value like name is equal to Ravi, and I want to compare this name with different values, like name is Akash, then console log Akash is Ravi. Otherwise, if name is Ravi, it's matching the same value, then Ravi is Ravi. And I'll create another statement just to show that it is case sensitive. Ravi is not Ravi. It's similar to if else statement, but the difference is that at switch case it's more concise and easy to use. So let's run the program. So you can see Ravi is getting printed out. This code is getting executed. These two blocks are not getting executed. That's how switch case works. And now let's discuss about ternary operator. So if you see the if else if condition, it's lengthy. But if you have a small program and if you want to check something really quick, then you can use ternary operator. For example, if you want to check whether number is equal or not, suppose there is a variable called num2 and the value is around 56, and you want to check, you want to do something like if num2 is equal to 78, then numbers are same. Otherwise, I want to run this code like numbers are not same. Save it and run it now. Okay, nothing is getting printed because we have to do console.log here. So numbers are not same. If I give same numbers like 78, save, you can see numbers are same. So let me explain you how ternary operator exactly works. So this is the condition block. This is the conditional operator. We're checking equals condition, and there is a question mark here. On the left hand side, we'll have condition block, and on the right hand side, we'll get output. The first part will be executed if condition is true. Otherwise, the second part of this block will be executed. This is how ternary operator works. So we have discussed about various conditions. So now let's go into functions. So now let's discuss about functions. What are functions? Function is a block of code which is designed to perform a particular action. Let's write some functions here. For that, I'll create a file called functions.js, and I'll write some function. For writing a function, we have keyword called function. Just call function and then give it some name, like I want add function or sum function, which will take two numbers, num2, and I want to return num1 plus num2. So this is how we can write a function. So we'll give function keyword first, and then we will write the name of the function. Then we'll pass parameters. Parameters can be some values, any value, like numbers or objects. Then this particular block of code will be executed. So let's see how to call functions. For calling functions, we just have to call the name and you have to pass the parameters. As you can see, it's asking for two parameters, num1 and num2. If I give like 20 and 5, save and run it. Okay, it's not printing anything because you have to do console log. Console log and now run it. You can see the sum. If you want to call a function, same function again and again, you can call it. For example, if I want to add 25 and minus 10, you can still do it. Now you can see 25 and 15. So this is the main advantage of the function. You don't have to repeat your code. Instead, you can abstract the code into a function and then you can run it multiple times wherever you need. So these are the basics of functions. You can write complicated functions. You can write prime number function or some complex arithmetic functions, uh, and you can use it anywhere you want. Let's take a situation where you want to store list of months. For example, months can be Jan, Feb, March, etc. But how will you store it? So till now we have discussed about variables. So we can store it one way, like month 1 is equal to Jan, and we can store the second month, like month 2 is equal to Feb. We can store month 3 is equal to March. But there are too many months. Suppose if you have thousands of records of data, then how will you store it? You can't store in variables every time. You need to have some kind of data structure so that you can store all the information at a one place. So for that purpose, we have something called as arrays in JavaScript. You can have arrays, you will see arrays in many programming languages. So in JavaScript, I'll show you how to implement an array. Suppose for creating an array, just create the same way, like give it const or let, whatever the purpose is. Then you can give it some name like array, and you have to bring square brackets. Inside that, you have to pass information like Jan, comma, Feb, comma, March. So this is how you store information in arrays. You can store lots of information. You can store even more months, but I'm stopping here. Let's see what will happen if we print array. So I'll just copy the block of code and I'll create a new file called arrays.js, and I'll put this array here and I'll write console statement, log statement, array. Save it and run it. If you see, the array is getting printed. All the data is getting printed. And there are additional functionalities to array. It's not just for storing data, but you can retrieve data at a particular index. So indexing starts from like this value is 0 and this value is 1 and this is 2 and this is 3. This is how indexing starts. Suppose if you want to call array of 0, then it's getting the item at index 0, which means it should get this value. So let's see what happens when we run the code. So you're getting Jan, and if you want to get item at third index, then you can still do it. Save, refresh. Now you can see you're getting April. It's printing the item at index 3. So this is one operation of array. There are many operations which you can perform on arrays. So let me show you some useful functions for arrays JavaScript. So we have seen this is how we'll create an array, and then this is another way of initializing array, like using new keyword. This is how we initialize in Java. We're doing it the same way here. We're calling new method, and we're giving array class, and we're passing the parameters. So it will return an array object. So accessing array elements, we just discussed about it. So this is index, and it's getting cars item at index 0. And if you want to change array element, then you can do it. Like if I want to pass array of 0 as December instead, then I can do it. Now I can save, and I can do console log down. I'll print array. If I do that now, you will see December, February, March, April. The first element is changed. So that's how you can do operations on arrays. That's how you can change values at a particular index in array. And okay. And there is a property called array.length, which will give you length of array. For example, if here there are 4 elements, so it should return 4. So as you can see, it's giving 4. So this is one property of array. If you want to get last element of the array, then you can take advantage of the length function here. So we will call array, and in index we'll pass array.length minus 1, because index should be 4 minus 1, which is 3. Save it and refresh it. You can see the last element is getting printed. This is how you'll get last element of the array. So these are the basics of arrays. Now let's discuss about loops. Let's take a situation here where you have list of numbers, and here you can see the array which contains numbers like 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, 20, and you want to check whether like which numbers are even and which numbers are odd. So for doing that, one way is to do it like numbers of index. For index 0 divides by 2, then its number is even. Instead of putting hard-coded number, we can just give it like number of 0 plus even. Same way, do the same thing here. Yeah, save it. And you can copy the same code, you can put it down, and you can do it for index 1, and now you can do it for index 2. This is one way to do it. For this data size, it's okay, but if you have 1,000 numbers in an array, then can you do this? No, we can't do this every time, because if dataset is large, we have to use some other kind of alternative solution for doing this problem. So for that, we have loops. So let's see how we can use loops here. So there are 3 types of loops in JavaScript. One is for loop, while loop, and do while loop. Each of the loop is different in their functionality and how they work. Let's see for loop first. For that, I'll create a for loop here. For loop can be created using keyword for and put it inside brackets. Inside brackets, just call a variable I is equal to 0 and I is less than numbers dot length and I plus plus. So here we have to give colon And after that, just open curly braces. Inside this code will be executed like multiple times. So if you see the loop condition here, first it's divided into three parts. One is declaration step and initialization step. Here you're declaring a variable called I, and you are putting 0 as initial value. And then this is condition block, where when the loop is executed, it will check this condition. If it's true, then the code inside this block will be executed. Otherwise, it will return out of the loop. And here it's increment condition. So if this condition is true, the code will be executed, and then the value will be incremented. So this for loop won't run infinitely. So let's write some condition here. So copy this condition and put it here. And instead of hard coding the index value, I'll get it like from I, and I'll paste it here. Sorry, I'm putting I here. Save it, and now let's run the code. You can see 12 is even, 13 is odd, 14 is even, 15 is odd. As you can see, the code is working properly. So this is a for loop. But what if you want to check alternative numbers? Instead of checking each and every number, if you want to check alternative numbers, you can still do it. Instead of doing I plus plus, you will do it like I plus is equal to 2. You will just give it I plus plus, and here you'll also call I plus plus again. Save it, then run the code. You can see only it's running alternatively now. This is how for loop works. And there is a shorter way to do this. Instead of doing all this thing, you can just call it like let numbers. So this is a shorter way to write for loop. So instead of initializing and giving some value and then incrementing it, you can just call it like let number of numbers, which will give an iterator object, and it will go through each iteration. It will take the number, and you can process the number here. Inside the condition, we are checking number, whether it's giving the reminder as 0 or not. Here reminder is 0, so it's even. Here it's not 0, so it's odd. So this is how for loop works. We saw how to use for loop in two different ways. Now there is another loop called while loop. Let's see how while loop works. Both for loop and while loop works in a different way. For loop works by incrementing or decrementing a value, whereas while loop works using condition. Let's see how while loop is initialized. So for doing that, you have while keyword in the inside brackets. Just give the condition. Suppose if I give true, and if I do console.log here, this code block gets executed. Save it and run it. Now you can see the code blocks is executed like multiple times. For stopping that, you can use this stop button. If you don't stop the program, then this VS Code will crash and you have to restart it. So you have to stop it. So there is a risk while using while loop. You have to make sure that condition gets failed at some point of time. Otherwise, your loop will be executed infinitely and it won't go to the further step, and your program will ultimately crash. So this is a warning when you use while loop. You have to make sure it gets false at some point of time. So let's run the same function. Let's do the same code in the while loop. We can do it. So for that, I'll just initialize a variable called number over here. Number, I'll give it null. And then here I'm getting number from index, numbers of index, which is I. I'm initializing the same thing here. Let I is equal to 0. And we'll check the condition now on the number. If condition is working, then it will print the appropriate statement. Then we'll increment I plus plus, save it. Now run the program. Let's go down, let's clear the console, and let's run it again. So use this button to clear the console. Okay, it's still not cleared. Okay, it's still running. Okay, I have to stop this infinite loop. Oh, you can see it's still running infinitely because condition is not breaking anywhere. So for breaking the condition, I can do it like if I is less than or equal to numbers dot length, then only this block should execute. Otherwise, it should get out of the loop. So now let's clear the console and let's run it again. As you can see, it's running properly, but one extra number is number of I. Okay. For stopping the condition, I can change the condition here. Instead of putting it as a true, you can just change it to I less than numbers dot length minus 1. Now, when I is less than numbers dot length minus 1, which is 4, or here if you check the array, it should be some number, then the loop will break. So let's run it and check how it's working. So, okay, this is coming from the first loop, and this output is coming from the second loop. Okay, one iteration is not working. Now let's run it again. Okay, now it's working good. It's coming from the first iteration, this one over here, and this one is coming from the second loop, while loop. So this is how we will use while loop. There is one more type of loop which is called do while loop. Let's see how it's different from while loop. So while loop gets executed when the condition met, but in do while loop, first the code block will be executed, then the condition will be checked. For example, it will be like this: do while loop. Here we'll give the condition. For example, can be like this, and we'll put it here, and then code block, we can put the same code block here, and we can run it. But the difference is that first iteration, like this code will be executed, then the condition will be checked. Whereas in while loop, condition will be checked, then the code will be executed in the first iteration. This is the difference between while loop and do while loop. And I'll tell you where do while loop is useful. Suppose if you're getting some prompt from user, like you're getting input from user, and you're validating it. So first you will get the input from user, and you will run validation in the first iteration. If user input is invalid, then you will give a prompt again, and user will give another input, and you will check the input again. If it's invalid, then it will go through infinite iterations. If user gives a valid input, then you will come out of the loop. That's how you will use do while loop in real life scenarios. So these are different types of loops. In JavaScript, we have something called as objects, which is used for storing key value pairs. So here is an example object. This is an example from MDN docs. And you can see here on the left hand side we have key, which is color, and on the right hand side we have value, which is a string value. And down you have another key. So the key is string value again, but value is integer. So the key value should be a string value, and the value should be a primitive data type like integer or string, object, whatever the primitive data type, you can use it. Or you can even use compound data types as well, like for value. So here, if you see the third one, here you have engine as key, and the value is given as object. And this object contains information related to the engine, like how many cylinders are present and what's the size of the engine. So here inside JavaScript file, I'll create object.js, and here I'll create a new object. I'm taking it like const my object. Remember that JavaScript follows camel case convention, so give your variables like that. And for creating an object, you can just use curly braces, and inside that you can give key. For example, key 1, and the value will be value 1. And similarly, you can get key 2, and the value is value 2. Save it and then run the code. No error. Let's print the JavaScript object. I do console.log my object, save, and run it. You can see the object is getting printed out. What if you have an array? Will it store it? Yes. JavaScript objects can store arrays as well as values. So I'm giving values like value 1, comma, value 2. You can still do this. Save it and run it again. Now you can see you're getting arrays. So let's see some important functions of objects. For example, if you want to get all the keys of an object, you can do it easily like this. You can call object dot keys, and you can pass the object name over here. So I'm passing my object. Save it, then run it. So you can see you're getting keys here. And if you want to get values, you can still do that. Instead of passing keys, you can pass values. Save it and run it. You can see first one is keys and second one is values. So this is an array. So you can do array operations, like you can do looping. Example, if I want to print each and every item, I can do it. I can even do some operations like data manipulation on the array, for let value of object dot values of my object. I want to print value. Value is value. Save it and I'll just run it now. Okay, we are not doing console.log. Okay, instead of object.values, we have to do console.log. Yeah, save it now, refresh it. You can see value is value 1, value is value 2, and second one, the third iteration, it's value 1 and value 2 is printed out. So this is how we can get keys and values. What if you want to get both keys and values at the same time? Is you can do that using dot entries method. So instead of keys here, I'll pass entries. Save it and run it. You can see you're getting entries. you're getting arrays of like the first index in the 0th index, you'll have key, and the first index you'll have value. Same way with each other element. So these are some useful object functionalities, and inside objects, like you can store functions as values. For example, for key 4, if I want to store a function like num and num1, num2, num1 plus num2, and I want to return this. And here I'll make sure that this is a function. Save it. Now let's run the key 4 console.log and object my object dot key4 of 4 comma 5. Let's run it and check it. Okay, there is an issue here. So let's read the error. You can see num1 is undefined. Okay, it's not mom, it's num. Okay, now run it again. You can see you're getting the sum value. So this is how you can store functions and you can call inside objects. So these are some basics of objects. Now let's discuss about string functions and array functions. JavaScript provides some very useful functions for working with strings. So let's see some important functions on strings. So the first one is like, so here I created a variable called message, which contains this message. Like this is my message. It contains this string. So if I want to get the length of this string, then I can use this function. Like I will call the variable first, then that I will just call length. Yeah, this is actually an attribute. So when you call it, I'll run it now. You can see length of the string is 18. So this is how you get a length of the string. Suppose if I give some extra characters, save it and refresh, you can see length is changed now. So this is how you will get length of the string. I'm removing this, and if I want to make the entire string lowercase, then we have a function message.to lowercase. Save it, run. You can see string to lowercase. Actually, this is a lowercase string. Let me convert this and I'll show you. Yeah, T is now lowercase and also M is lowercase. So the entire string is changed to lowercase. Suppose if I want to make it uppercase, we have a similar function to uppercase. Save and run. The string to uppercase. Now the entire string is in uppercase. So this is for uppercase. And if you want to get a particular character at any index, then you have a method called char@. Use char@, and you can pass some index. Suppose if I want to get string at index 0, then I will call this. So you can see it's t, which is t at index 0. But if I want to get character at index 5, then I can still do it. Now you can see character at index 5 is I. Let's check it. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's I, and we are getting I. So this is for getting a particular character at a particular index. So if you want to get substring, then you have a function message dot substring actually have this method as well, like and also you have this method. So I'll tell you the difference. So this substring method will take two parameters. One is start and end. Start is a number, whereas end, it's given question mark and colon, means it can be, it may be present. Like if you don't give it, then also it will work. But if you don't give it, then it will take it as undefined. But you will still get some value. Let's do it. Let's see how it's different in both the cases. So if you want to get string from between index 4 and 10, then I'll run it. You're getting string between index 4 and index 10. Suppose if I want to get index 8 and index 15, save it and run it. You can see you're getting that particular string. But what if you don't provide any number here? Then it will still work. So my message is getting printed. So I'll tell you what's happening here. So when you don't give the second parameter, which is end index, so this function will return the string from starting index to the end. So it will return whatever present after the start index. So that's the thing. If you provide negative index, it will still work. Okay, received substring. Okay. So when you're passing negative index, so it's giving the full string. It's taking like a 0. So this method will consider 0 if you give any negative index. So let's keep it some 5 now and leave it. So now I'm changing the string. So I'm adding this particular part and also I'm adding some extra space and then I'm providing these things over here. But just for testing purpose, I'll just remove this thing. Like I want to show you trim functions. So for that, I just have to provide empty space before and after the string. So let me start with the trim start function. So there is a function for trimming the empty space before the string. So can do it like message dot trim start. When you do that, the space like before the string will be removed and you will get a string without that. You can see the space before the string is removed, but the space after the string it's still there, which is this one. So for removing the space after the string, not before the string, we have a function message dot trim, sorry, message dot trim end. Save and run it again. You can see the starting space, it's still there because you are trimming only the end portion. But if you check end, there is no space, like no space. So now let's go to another function. If you want to trim at both ends, you have a function that message dot trim. You do this, both the ends will be trimmed. Okay, and you have a method for replacing strings. For example, console.log. If you want to replace some portion of the string, some portion of the string, message dot replace. You can use this replace function. So if you want to know how to initialize it, like how to use it, then when you hover on it, you'll see like it's taking one parameter which is search value and it's taking another value, replacement value, both are strings. So let's see. So if I want to replace this to it, I can do it. So let's run it again. Now you can see it's replaced. It's printing like it is my message instead of this is my message. So this is one important function. And there is one more useful function, which is a split function, which is used to convert string into arrays. Suppose if you have the string over here, I'm just commenting this now, like I'm getting this message back, or I'll do one thing like um, string to arrays. For that, we have split function message dot split, and here you can pass any value. If you want to split by comma and space, then you can do it. Or if you want to split by empty space, you can do it. Or you want to split by like a space, then you can still do it. I want to split by space. I want to get the words which was splitted by space. So save it and run it. You can see you're getting an array here. But I don't want the spaces before and end. I just want to do split with these things. So for that, I can just do it like message dot trim dot split. Now, if you check, only these things are getting splitted. This is how you can use some functions on top of other functions. So we discussed some string functions before. Now let's discuss some array functions. So JavaScript provides some useful array functions. So let's see how to use them. Suppose if you want to get length of the array, for that we have a function like array dot length. Save it and run it. You can see you're getting length of the array. Here we have 5 elements in this array and we are getting 5 here. If you want to get any element at any particular index, then you can do it using array and you give square bracket. Inside that pass integer value and it should be in the bound, like it should be in between 0 to length minus 1, which is like 4. I'm passing 2, save it and run it. Now you can see it's printed like 2. So if you go with indexing, this will be 0, this will be 1, and this will be 2. That's why cat is printed. But if you want to print an element at index 4, then you can still do it. Instead of 2, you can pass 4. So now you can see the element at index 4 is printed out. Now, if you want to change element at any particular index, suppose, for example, instead of dog, I want to give donkey. I can just give it like first, I have to call array and dog is present at index 3. So I'll just call that and I'll assign that to some value, for example, donkey. Now, once that is done, I'll print the array, save it and run it. Now you can see donkey is present instead of dog. So that is one thing. And the next one is sorting. Suppose if I change um, the arrangement, so array, I'll take it like that. And here instead of donkey, I'll pass something like bag. And I want to do sorting. So for that, I can just do like array dot sort. So if you hover on that, you can see the description for that. So array dot sort will take a parameter, which is like comparison function, which you don't have to give it here, or you can leave it like undefined, and it will return a string array. So I'll just put this inside this console log. Now I'll run it again. So initially the array should be like apple, banana, cat, bag, and elephant because we gave bag here. But if you see the sort function, it's sorting. So bag from index 4, it's coming from index 3, it's coming to index 2. It's doing sorting. So yeah, that's how you'll do sorting. And then let's see how to reverse an array. So for that, we have a simple function which is array.reverse. Save it and run it. So you can see now elements are printed in reverse order. Now let's see how to convert array to a string. So for that, we have join function. So I'll create a variable here like string value, and I'll keep it null, or I can just join array here. So I want to join this array variable dot join, and I want to join all the values using comma. So I can do it, or you can, if you want to join it with a hyphen, I can still do it. So I'll join and I'll run it. You can see like, oh, here I have to print it. So I'll print string value, save, run. You can see the elements are joined with this character. If I give some other character, this, and if I run now, you can see this character is inserted while joining. So this is how you'll perform join. So the next thing is adding new element to an array. So for adding new element, you have a function called push. So I'll show you demonstration. So I'll call push and I'll pass some value. For example, I can pass like, so we have till elephant. After E, we'll get F, and we can pass. So I'll pass fox. So I'll just run it now. So you can see the fox should be inserted. Okay, I'm not printing it. Oh, array.push function will return null. That's why you can't see anything. I can see push function will take one parameter and it will return a number. Okay, what's the number? Append new element to the end of the array and return the new length. So it's returning the element. That's why we're getting 6 here. So I'll do one thing. I'll just get this out. I'll do push here and then I'll call array here. Now run. Now it will work. You can see elephant, cat, everything is there, and fox is added. And let's see how to remove an element, like a last element of the array. So you don't. There is one way to remove element, like array dot pop. So if you do that, this will remove the element at the end of the array. Now I'll print array. So fox, which was added here, should be removed. So let's check it. See, the fox is removed. And now let's see how to remove first element of the array. So we have seen how to remove last element of the array. Now let's see how to remove first element of the array. So for that we have array dot unshift. Okay, this is not unshift, it's shift. Let's see, hover on this. See, you can see remove the first element from the array and returns it. So instead of calling array, I can just pass it here like this. Now run it. You can see the last element is remove first element of the array. Okay, it's returning the element. So let's call it outside. Now call array, save, run. You can see first element is removed, elephant is removed here. And now let's see how to add new element to the start of array. So this is where unshift comes. So you can call array dot unshift and then have to pass some string value or any value. So I'll pass like new animal name, which is giraffe, and I'll call array here. Save and run. You can see you got a new element here at the start of the array. We have seen how to add a new element at the end of the array, that is using push method. Now we have seen how to add from the front of the array. So these are some very basic and very useful array functions. Now let's discuss some arrow functions. Let's discuss about arrow functions. So an array function is a compact way to a traditional function. So it's like an alternative. So let's see how to do that. For example, you can write a regular function using function keyword, and then you will give function name like my function. Then you'll pass parameter like name or some string value, and then you will return something. This is how you start a regular function. You write a regular function, but now let's see how to do a arrow function. So arrow function, the same function can be written like my function is equal to, you'll do this and then you'll do return. That's it. So this is how you can implement arrow function, like the same function over here. And you can use this function the same way that you use this normal regular function. And there are some useful arrow functions in JavaScript. Like in arrow functions, like you get some inbuilt arrow functions, like you have a map and you have for each. So let's discuss about them now. So I'll go with for each first. Suppose you have an array. I'll just comment out these codes here and I'll just create an array. I'll just get it like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, if I want to do iteration, like you have for loop, like you can do it like for let I is equal to 0, I is less than array dot length, and I plus plus, and you can call each element here and you can do processing. But instead of that, if I want to like if you want to check whether any number is even or not, like, or if you want to check how many numbers are even, then you can do it like this. Like I'll initialize count here, then I will I'll write a condition block here, like I'll check if array of I percentage 2 is equal to 0. So I'm just checking the remainder. If it is equal to 0, then I'll increase count. I'm incrementing count. So this is how you will check whether, like, how many numbers are even. So if you want to do the same thing, an arrow function, then like using for each, then you can do it same way. You'll initialize count again, then you will call array first, then you'll use for each, and this will return like you'll get an item here. Item means each number, like it will be 2 in the first iteration, 3 in the second iteration, it will be like that. Then you'll write code here, like you'll check if item percentage 2 is equal to 0, then count plus plus. So this is doing the same thing, but you're using for each function for doing that. You can see this is much more concise. and it is very simple. So this is one use of for each. Like you can use it even for complicated operations. Like if you are doing some iteration and you're checking something, then you can use for each instead of doing a generic for loop. And there is one more function which is like map. Suppose if there is an array of strings, suppose this is like apple and banana and cat. Then if I want to return array of lengths of the strings, like it will be like array. So first one has 5 characters, so it will be like 5, comma. Second one has 6 characters, so 6, comma 3. So it should I want an array like this, but I want to run some looping and I want to do it. So how can I do that? So normally how you do it is like you'll call for loop and you will do it like for let I is equal to 0, I is less than array dot length and I plus plus, and you will create a new array here like let, or you can do it directly also, like array of I is equal to array of I dot length. So this is how you will do it regularly, like to get lengths of array. But if I want to do it using map function, like I can do it simply. So I can do like array dot map item, same way, on item dot, sorry, I should call like return item dot length. That's it. And you can check this example here inside this demo. So you can see it. This is the shorter form actually. Like you just have to write this particular code and that's it. You don't have to write this entire for loop. Instead of that, you can just do this map function. Then you will get the same result. So I'll tell you the basic difference between for each and map. So in for each, you'll just read the contents and you will you'll check something on the content. But in map, like you will read the content, but also you get a functionality like you can change the content. So you get this both functionality through map. So that's the main difference between for each and map. Now let's see basic DOM manipulation. Let's see DOM manipulation in JavaScript. So when a web page is loaded, the browser creates something called as DOM, which is document object model. HTML DOM is constructed like tree of objects. So JavaScript can interact with the objects and it can give dynamic nature to our website. JavaScript can change all the HTML elements, or it can change the HTML attributes of the page, or we can change the CSS styling of some elements, and we can remove some existing HTML elements or attributes like classes, IDs. We can change anything. And we will also discuss about event listeners, which are a way to assign a function on particular event. Suppose when you click on a button, suppose if you want something to happen, uh, then we can do it. So we'll see how to do that, and we will see various things like various actions. We will see some different types of event listeners, and we will see how to query the data from DOM. We'll see all the things in this tutorial. So let's start with DOM manipulation. So for that, I'll just create a folder inside my file explorer. You can create it anywhere. I'll create desktop. Yes. Right click and click on show more options and then click on open with code. Once your folder is opened in VS Code, just create a new file called index.html and also create a file called script.js and open your index file. Just do shift and press 1, get this, enter. Once you get this template, just change the title font, learn, and I'm giving heading like for beginners. Yeah. So let's see how to run this JavaScript inside our browser. So for that, I'll go to browser. Here, I'll give the path of the file. So for getting path, you can do right click and copy path that and then paste it. You can see the file is running. Suppose if you make some change, save, then you can reload and your change is getting reflected. The same way, if you can write JS here, hello world, save, and open this console, refresh. Okay, this is not coming because you didn't link the script file inside the JS. So let's link it. Link and .js, save, refresh. You can see it's running now. You change something in the script, changes will be reflected, but you have to refresh. So to avoid this refresh, we have an extension called live server. So go to extensions. So extension symbol look like this. And inside that, search for live server. Search for it. Go to the first one and install it. Once you install the live server extension, just go to file explorer over here. Okay, here right click on the index.html and click on open with live server. You can see the page is loaded here. I'll just copy this and I'll just open it inside Chrome. So I'll tell you what's the main difference between this normal reloading, like the way we are doing it here, and using the live server. So if I do some change here and save it, you can see the changes are automatically reflected. I'm not doing any page refresh. And if I do the same thing with JavaScript, so I'm changing it here, save, you can see changes are reflected. So you can avoid the page refresh. So whenever you do some change here, the changes are like this live server will watch the file and it will be triggered like okay, this file is changed, so it will trigger an action like reload on the web page. So the changes will be reflected here. So that's the main advantage. So we are using live server here. So install it, and once you install it and run these files, you can see that we are running JavaScript in the browser. Suppose, but for learning DOM manipulation, first I'll go through some real application like some website like google.com. I'll show you how to do basic DOM manipulation, how to get elements, how to change attributes. Then I will explain you like how uh, to use DOM manipulation inside your website. So first I'll go to google.com and then I'll open inspect tab. Here in console, clear everything. In console, I can write JavaScript, right? So suppose if I want to get the list of all the languages over here, so how can I do that? Let's see. For example, I want to get this particular language like Hindi, which is written over here. So for that, I'll just right click and then I'll click on inspect, and it will go to the particular element. So here you can see this element is responsible for that. And I'll do right click and then I'll go to copy. I'll copy the selector. Once you copy the selector, go to console and do document dot query document dot query selector of brackets and paste it here and enter. You can see you're getting the same element which is present over here. But what if you want to get the content inside the element, like only the part, like Hindi, which is written in Hindi language? So I can do that, like instead of getting the only the element, I can get text content, enter. You can see you're getting only the content. Suppose if I want to get all the elements, how can I do that? So uh, till now we have seen like how to use document.query selector. So document is responsible for getting like we can access the DOM using this document keyword, and you're querying some element, some selector. So for that, using dot query selector, and you're passing the selector which you got before, and then you're using the function passing the selector and you're getting the element, and on the particular element you're getting text content, so you're getting the content Hindi. Suppose if you want to get all the elements, suppose if I open this, you can see there are like various anchor tags and all of them are present inside this div. So let's see how to get all the elements inside this div, like the anchor tags inside this div. So for that I can just like document dot query selector all. So we have all method. Actually query selector will return only one element. Suppose I query selector, and if I pass this div selector passing the ID selector and then enter, you can see you're getting div, but I want to get all the anchor tags. For that I can the same way which we do in CSS, which is like I'm giving this greater than symbol and I'm passing a, means it will get only the anchor tags present inside this div sivcob. So enter, you can see you're getting the anchor tag now, but it's only returning the first one. But if you want to get all the anchor tags, then you can pass query selector all. You can see you're getting a node list array, and you're getting like 9 elements. If you count, it's like 9. And I want to get the text content. So I'll create an array here, like languages that in supported languages, and it is okay. And I'll write a for each. I'll first I'll use document.query selector all. I'll use up arrow to get the history, like whatever I wrote before. So on top of this, I'll write for each, and I'll get item. You can use shift enter for writing multi-line code, and then here I'll push each text to this array item dot text content. Save, sorry, don't save it, just click on enter, and now search for Indian support languages. You can see the array is filled with all the text. Suppose if you want to get it like a string and get it like, can use the join method, pass some splitter. For example, if I want a dot, I can get it like a dot, but if I want this, I can do it. Or if I want like comma, I can still get it like that. So yeah, this is how you will manipulate the output which you get from a certain operation. So yeah, we have seen how to use query selector method and query selector all, and we have also seen how to get the input, like get the output from the query selector all, and we also did some processing on that. So once you're done with that, let's see some other actions, like how to uh, change something. Like if you want to change the text content of this button, let's see how we can do that. First, right click on this element and then look here. Here it's written like, okay, it's an input element, and get the selector, copy selector, and I'll go to console. I'll do document dot query selector, passing the selector. Then we will get the button. If I want to get the text content, then this is an input element, unlike anchor tag. So you have to call it like dot value. You can see you're getting the value of the input element. Suppose if you want to assign some value, then instead of, like, for simplicity, I'll just give it like a variable here, just for explanation, so that it will be easier for you. So I'll keep this search button equal to, okay. Now you want to get value, then I've seen like you can use dot value, you're getting value. But what if you want to assign some other value? Instead of Google search, you want to give like um my search. Then you can pass string value like my search. You can see it's changed to my search, or you can change it to like Google. Okay, there is some check like token. Remove it. Okay, you can see it's bubble now. So this is how you can change some value of an input element. If you want to change text content, like you can change it like, for example, it's not a input element, then you can change text content like this. It will still work. Okay. Now we have seen like how to change value or text content, and now let's see how to change, like how to pass some input inside the search element. So let's see. First I'll copy the selector, then I'll create a variable search input. I'm creating, I'm getting the same thing like document dot query selector, pass and enter. Then search input dot. So I want to pass something, like I want to give some value here. So I'll call value and assign something. So I'll give some string here, and I can add enter. You can see it's come like the value is coming over here. If I do the same something like here, then you can see the text is changed here. So this is how you can pass some value to the input. So these are some basic examples, like how to retrieve something using selector, and how to do some processing, and yeah, we have also seen like how to change the value. So that's good. Now let's see how to use these DOM manipulation techniques on the website that we create. So I'll close this and I'll go back the one which we created. Yeah. So here I'll create a button, and I'll give it like changes color, or change color. You can see we have a button here. When we click on it, nothing happens. But if you want to make an action, like when you click on this button, the color of this page should change. So let's see how to do that. So for that, first you'll get the button, like I'm creating a variable is like button document dot query selector, or you can get it like using id or whatever, but I'm using query selector for now. And the selector will be button, as there is only one button. It's okay, button. Then I'll create an event listener. So event listener is a very useful thing. So I'll tell you exactly what's the use of event listener. So in JavaScript, you can create an event listener. So for performing something. So when I click on this button, I want the color of the page to change. So for doing that, you can write an event listener and you can assign click action. Like I'll show demonstration. So here, first I'm calling button and then I'm doing the like dot add event listener. So for adding event to element, so we're passing event to this function, like we are assigning event to this element. So on click, so when you click on the button, this function should run. So if you run like console log, button is clicked, save, and click on the button, you can see this thing is coming like it's logged. And if I click it again, you can see the number count isn't getting increased. And if you want to change the color of the website, let's see how to do that. So for that, you can do like document dot body dot style dot background color. It's like same. You're getting the body attribute first, then you're getting style attribute and you're changing it. So in style, you're changing the background color to red. Save and then click on this. You can see now it's in red color. If I change this to blue and change, it's blue. If I change it to green, it will become green. So yeah, that's how you can change background color, or you can change any attribute. Suppose if I want to change the heading color to white, then I can do it like document dot query selector. First I'll get the h1 and then I will change the color. Use style dot color equal to white. Save. You can see instead of black, now it's white color. And how can you change the text value? Previously we have seen like how to change text value. For that we have used dot text content for getting text value. Similarly, you'll get text content, but you'll assign something now. Like instead of JavaScript for listener beginners, I'll give it like button is clicked. Save. You can see the text content is changed. It's in white color and the background is changed. So you can see it's dynamic. Like you might not notice it now, like how big it is, but this is the fundamental thing which is very much useful nowadays. Like you can see social media apps, which like single page applications where uh, within one page you don't see page reloads. Instead, you will go to multiple pages. Like this is all possible because of this dynamic nature of JavaScript. There are many high-level applications which were built using like this DOM manipulation. All the frameworks like React, Angular takes advantage of these functionalities. So there's one example. So I'll create another file here inside my file explorer, colors.html. So I want to create something like, I want to have 3 buttons for red, green, and blue. And when I click on the particular button, I want the color to change into that particular color. Let's see how to do that. So for that, I created this colors.html, and also I'll create colors.js. And inside colors.html, I'll initialize it, and I'll change title to colors. And here I'm loading the script tag. It's rc to scripts.js. Okay, then it's not script.js, it's colors.js. Then here I'll write HTML, and before that I'll reload the page. So it's colors.html. It's empty, but I'll give some buttons here. So I want 3 buttons, and each button should have a button. But it's not button, it's div. I want 3 divs, 3, and I want each div should contain a button. See, we got a div, and each one should have an ID and button. But this will be like red button, green button, blue button, RGB. Then I'll copy the same thing, like I'll copy ID. I'm using Control D for this, Control D. So if you press one time Control D, then the second ID will be selected 2 times, and the third ID will be selected. So I'm copying the inside content, Control C, and then I'll go inside, Control V, and I want to remove this thing. Okay, escape. Yeah. We have 3 buttons with 3 IDs, and let's call the buttons here. First, let's get the buttons. For that, let's see how to do it. For getting a red button, I'll do document doc dot query selector. I'll pass ID, so it's an ID, so I'll pass hash, and I'll get it like red button. You can see it's the same ID. You can test it using this console tab. Copy, paste. You can see you're getting the red button. Similarly, see, I want green and blue button. So I'll tell you how I did this using this code. So I pressed Control Alt and then Shift Alt down arrow. So this is how you can get the same line down or up. So I'm changing here. I have copied from here to I just used Control Shift and left arrow, and then I'm using Control D now, and then here I'm used Control D now. Then I'm changing this to green, and I'm doing the same thing. Control D, then I'm changing this to blue. Okay, we're getting 3 buttons now. Then I'll add event listener, like for red button, or I'll add an event listener such that when the button is clicked, the color will change to red. So let's see how to do that. First, I'll pass like red button dot add event listener of click, and the event listener will perform this action, which is document. Actually, I don't have to do this brackets, but I can do it like right from here. Document dot body dot style dot background all color equal to red. Save, and okay, go to colors.html. Okay, it's red. Actually, we didn't click on the red button, but still it's red. Maybe because we didn't pass things here. Okay, now it's working. For green and blue, we have to add the same way, like event list now. So here I'll just change this for green button, Control D, then to green, then here blue, save, and then refresh. Okay, now click on the red button, it's red color. Click on the green button, it's green. Blue button, it's blue. So this is one basic program like for understanding DOM manipulation. Let's see another program. Like instead of hard coding some color values, what if I want to get some color value from user and I want to render the same color on the body here? How can I do that? Let's see how to do that. For example, I'm giving a button here and I'm um, giving the text as, oh sorry, inside this div to call button, and I'll pass user color here, save, and you can see there is a user color button, and I'll give some ID like user color, save it, and I'll go to colors.js. I'll get this element here, const, so it's user color button. I'll get the element document dot query selector ID user color button, save. It's just user color, save. And now here I'll write an event listener, like when this the color button is clicked, then a prompt should appear. Prompt. So I'll tell you what's the use of this prompt. Suppose in console, if I write prompt, enter, you can see you're getting this input field. You can pass some value, like I'm passing my name. You can see my name is getting printed here, and you can store the value inside some variable like const name is equal to prompt, and you run it now. It's undefined because I didn't give I. Okay, it's undefined because it's returning undefined, but still if you name is getting printed out. If you want to pass something like in prompt, if you want to display some message like please enter your name, you can see you're getting the prompt like here. This is how you can pass user input inside JavaScript programs. So let's use this prompt here. Here I want color, please give some color. Then I'll store it a variable color, and I want to change the body color, body dot color, sorry, it's style dot background color. um it should be changed to the color which we get from prompt. Okay, save it. Actually it should be like is equal to, yeah. Now I'm clicking on user color, it's getting color, and I want to pass yellow. You can see it's yellow. Red, if I click on this red button, it's red color. If I click on this blue button, it's blue color. But if I click on this user color, then it will ask for some input, and I can give it some color. Like if I want to print gray, it's gray color. So Yeah, we have seen now like how to get user input and how to do some action based on the user input. Let's see some more basic functions. I'm creating a file. So I'm creating a file counter.html, and same way I'm creating counter.js, and in counter.html I'll do shift 1 and then enter, title, change it to counter, and linking script here slash counter.js. Done. Then first I'll create a button here, button which is like plus, and I'll create another button here, minus. I'll go to counters.html. You can see there is a plus and minus button, and in between there should be some text value like count is, or you can just display 0. So initially it's 0, but when I click on this plus, the counter should be increased, and when I click on this minus, the counter should be decreased. Let's see how to do that. So inside JavaScript, I'm initializing variable count is equal to 0, and then I'm getting the element here, like the h1. So counter is equal to document dot get element by, actually I want to get use query selector and h1. So we are getting the counter, and then we have to get the plus button and the minus button as well. So give some ID like increment button, then I'll give ID as cream button, save, then get the buttons here, and button dot query selector hash increment button. Same way I'll get a decrement button. Okay, we're getting decrement button, and then I'm adding event listeners. So I'm creating event listeners like increment button dot add event listener of click. Then this function should run, which will get the counter dot text content. It will set the count value, and the count value should be increased. So when I click on plus, you can see the value is getting increased. Similar way, I'll create I'll add an event listener for decrement button, event listener, and click, and I want to run a function count minus minus. So I'm decrementing, calling counter dot add, sorry, counter dot text content equal to count. You can see same function, but here we are decrementing it. So if you click on minus, it's minus, plus, getting plus. So that's all for the tutorial. I hope you liked it. So this is a JavaScript beginner course, and it's a 2-hour course. We covered all the topics right from initializing variables and how to do DOM manipulation. Thank you so much for watching the tutorial.